Hi, everybody. Tim Hughes here. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. With me today, I've got Daryl Griffin. Daryl is in Perth in Australia, and through the wonders of communication, it's amazing that we are able to talk in real time. Today, we're going to talk about the 6 Ps, and Daryl is going to explain that to us. Before we get started, where can people find you on social, Daryl?
Well, of course, you can tell from my accent that I am an Englishman like yourself, Tim, and it's what a privilege it is to chat with you, my friend.
You're welcome.
Easiest thing to do. I mean, I'm not across all the platforms. I actually chose 3 years ago to focus on the one, which is LinkedIn.
Yep.
So literally type my name into Google, DARRELGRIFFIN. Typically, I'll come up. So I have a website, darylgriffin.com.au. And LinkedIn is probably the most obvious place to find me and follow my content.
Cool. So you came about using social through you were in sales, and you say you call it back in the day. So you called yourself the guy with a sonar looking for things, and so you've basically come up with the 6 Ps based on that experience. Just talk us through what you were doing and how you stumbled upon this social media lark, and how you actually started finding opportunities for people through it. It's an interesting story.
A very long story, very short.
Sure.
So moved from Bournemouth in the UK, having married an Australian in England, moved to Perth in July of 2012. The romance of moving to the other side of the world suddenly cleared, and you realize that you don't know anybody at all. You moved to the other side of the world, and you've left 20 years of business network in the UK. So you have to start from scratch. I was working as an account manager for a signage manufacturing company and kind of not enjoying it so much. Knew that they were looking for clients in a particular sector. There were 4 sectors they were looking for clients. And I went to the directors and I said, look, on LinkedIn here, all these people that you want to do business with are on LinkedIn. So I made a proposal to them that I become their business development manager rather than account manager. I become the one who looks for the business and feeds it off to the account managers. And long story short, 4 months later, using actually many of the principles that I still teach, I'd exceeded the targets they set for the whole year and stuff. And over the period of 2 years, 42% of all new business was coming through my direct LinkedIn activity.
Wow. That's amazing. So the spin-off from that, your learnings, you came up with your 6 P methodology and process, which is preparation, positioning, packaging, promotion, people, and prospecting.
Yeah, and I'm happy to unpack those one at a time.
Yeah, please.
The issue, I think, before you even get to this point, and it comes up time and time again when I'm actually preparing to work with a client, you've got to understand the age in which we live. And I think the difficulty we have as people in business is we tend to approach tools like social media with a wrong kind of mindset. We kind of like past the days where we can actually get away with treating customers as commodities for our business. And I think that's kind of a hangover from the industrial age. We now have to understand that these things we call telephones are now the power of choice in the hands of our potential customers, and they have the power with a single swipe just to swipe past every way that I might try and reach them. So I have to understand, put myself in the customer's shoes and start to do tools like LinkedIn from a customer-centered perspective. So actually when I'm preparing to work with a potential client, I always have to try and understand their mindset, because if we're out of whack, it's not going to work.
And I think it's about making sure that, I mean, you can dive straight into using LinkedIn, but I like your comment about the industrial age. You know, ever since I was a small boy in shorts, you know, it was what you need to do is you need to sell to people, so you need to rush up to them and immediately go buy my shit. And actually what's happened over the last 50 years is that people have got bored of it and pissed off with it. And now actually what we do is we filter it all out.
a very, very short illustration of that. When I was 5-6 years old, so that'd be early 1970s, mum would go to the local butcher, baker, blah blah blah. They all knew her name, blah blah blah, and that was the business relationship on a retail level. Then along comes the first. It was international stores. I remember it opening in the local high street, and so people started going to the supermarket. But of course, that changed the customer vendor dynamic, and we've kind of got used to over the last 50-60 years that there's this gap, this barrier between the customer and the vendor, and we kind of got used to throwing sales and marketing hand grenades at our customers rather than trying to build bridges. So,
yes, I mean, we're used to walking into shops and just picking stuff off the shelf, and in fact, if people come up to you, go, "What are you trying to do?" And it's the same on online. But I mean, if you think about if we go to a networking event and what we do, and we go up to somebody that we don't know, we actually have some standard questions. Where have you come from? Have you traveled far? But what we try and do is that we try and build a connection, because once we have a connection or something that we have in common, like we like Joy Division or English music or something like that, we start trusting people.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, the elephant. So the problem is with a lot of what I would call traditional networking is that there's this elephant in the room that everybody knows it in a roundabout way. This is about selling stuff.
Yes,
And I think that's the same with social, particularly with a tool like LinkedIn. Okay, I understand this is a business platform, but I guess in a roundabout way, I'm here to sell, aren't I? And that's a difficult one to. We've got to shift it in our minds to think, okay, I've got to come and approach and position myself. Oh, there's the P of positioning. I've got to position myself for the customer and not try and use this as a kind of a means to just try and get my hooks into somebody.
Yes. And I think with LinkedIn, you got to actually remember that there's more people selling on LinkedIn than there are buying, because most people are on there trying to actually sell you something. So if someone sends you a connection request, the first thing you think, well, I'm going to get a pitch. And the more people that do that, the more that will drive people away from LinkedIn. But so in terms of so your first P, which is preparation, tell us about that. Tell us about how you see preparation, because I know you're a very thoughtful person in the way that you approach things.
Yeah. So just to say, I am very much best practice orientated. That's the way I think it works best. But with the right strategy, it doesn't have to require a huge amount of time investment to do it well. But the 6 Ps is supposed to be strategic. It's supposed to allow you to implement a strategy rather than some kind of vague approach to LinkedIn. So
and Daryl, I think that's really important, because I think what we see, a lot of people do stuff very homegrown, which is they've read a magazine, they've seen something online. We need to do social selling. What is it? We don't know. We'll just get online and do it. And immediately people just turn up, and you get people with a very spammy looking profile, because they still think that LinkedIn is about your CV, and they come to me and go, "Would you like to buy my shit?" And I just go block.
Yeah. So the issue is that people think that doing social is just being present, posting stuff and connecting with people, and there's no real strategy to it.
No, it's because strategy. Yes,
it's because people don't know where it fits into the bigger picture, and that's a huge subject, and I'm not going to dive into that now. But let me just give you this first P of preparation. This is fundamentally, by far and away. The problem is you get some alpha male sales guy who comes and looks at my 6 Ps and goes, "I want to do the prospecting one." Right, but it's linear. It's deliberately last, because without the right preparation, you're not going to be able to do that.
There's a GIF that gets sent around musicians, and the GIF goes, how about if I don't do the practice, and we fast forward to the point where I'm really awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
And actually, you it's a bit like people, I see a lot of people saying that you need about using templates, and templates just make you look like everybody else. They said, and one of the things about templates is that I need to use a lot. Well, you need to use a lot because so many people are basically going, that's a template, that's a template. And you know, if you just, a sales guy once said to me, I'm too busy running around to actually plan. And you know, and you do need to sit and have, just like it when you approach, even when you approach cold calling, you need to have a plan. You don't just sit there and go, I'm going to ring everybody. You'll get the yellow pages, or you'll get a spreadsheet or whatever, and you start at the top and you work your way down.
Yeah.
But you will have planned it and worked out who you're going to approach.
Yeah, exactly. And the other argument is, well, this LinkedIn is some kind of, it's a free tool. So, you know, why would I need to have a strategy, which is basically what I sell? My argument is, well, even if somebody offered you a piano for free, you know, that's not going to make you a concert pianist.
No,
you've still got to do the work.
Yeah.
So first P, preparation. This is fundamental. And what most people do in my experience is they set up this is about thinking, okay, what am I going to be, you know, what am I here for? And people don't think about who is the customer I'm seeking to serve. Why do they need my help? And, you know, kind of how exactly do I help them? So the preparation stage is understanding who is the patient. I would put myself in the, you know, if I'm a GP or something, who's the patient? What's the pain that they are in? What's my prescription for the pain? And what's the prognosis of accepting this form of treatment? And we've got to be able to articulate that further on in the P's journey. So this is where I start with my client. We need to be crystal clear on who our customers are, why they need us, and how we can help them. If we don't know that, then all the rest of it unravels, in my experience.
And I think that's, you know, having in any sales environment, we need to know who our ideal customer criteria are. And that's not like a 2-week look at our navels type thing. I mean, we just look at who we've sold to before and work out, well, you know, it seems like we're selling within the utility space or the retail space or whatever. And who are we selling to? Well, it's typically this type of job title. Because I mean, even in the cold, you know, email is a classic example of all you do with email is you basically throw as many emails in at the top. You crank a handle and it spits them out. And actually, you'll get better result if you have 1 million emails than if you have 2,000 emails. And really, that's just throwing shit at the wall and hoping it will stick.
Well, the problem is, I think fundamentally, is that many businesses exist because somebody was good at something at some point and they created a business out of that, rather than saying, I see a pain, I see a problem there. I think I can create a solution to that problem and then create a business out of that. I think most businesses are started from a skill somebody has, and then they seek to sell that.
Well, we're very strong in professional services. And we were always told that professional services won't buy social. It's regulated, it's very conservative. But we have a particular individual who's actually used to work at PwC. And, you know, he spent 9 months developing that market, 9 months of actually selling nothing, to the point where we get the first deal. And it's one of those where everybody, you need to talk to this guy. You need to talk to this guy. So he now lives completely on referrals, but people look at it and it's like a swan. You know, Alex basically floats along, but underneath he's going, you know, and there's a lot of work that he's put into it, a lot of preparation that he put into knowing what is it, who I'm going to talk to, and the pain they've got, and how are we going to help them with that pain? Just
dropping right back to my own sales experience when I was the sales guy. I mean, it took 4 months to start to get decent traction. It wasn't an overnight thing. I didn't just put up a profile and suddenly, hey, you know, cascade of deals, you know.
No, well, I mean, if you put an advert in the newsagent, you're not going to get necessarily something straight away.
So essentially that's where I start with people on the preparation is making sure that they understand exactly who it is they're seeking to serve, and that is the fundamental thing. If somebody doesn't approach this with a seeking to serve mindset, it's going to frustrate them frustrate them. Positioning. So once you know who you're going to serve, how you're going to serve them, and why it matters to them, it's very easy to do your profile from that point of view. So you're literally positioning yourself for the market you're seeking to serve, to position yourself for the patient. This
is about writing your LinkedIn profile so that you look good to the type of person that you're going to sell to.
Yeah, typically I say to my clients, okay, take yourself out of your own shoes, put yourself in the shoes of a potential customer, and now read your profile. Does it make sense to you as a customer, or does it sound like some kind of gobbledygook?
Yeah.
It's got to make sense to them, and there's ways to do that. There are 10 key fields for a profile, which I encourage my clients to populate, but essentially it's about speaking a language that the customer understands. There's no point, honestly, and I see this so many times with sales guys, that if you're trying to reach me as a potential customer, no good telling me that you crush it every month. I'm not interested in that.
I'm a tenacious salesperson, and once I get my teeth into you, you're never gonna. I always bully my clients into buying. Yeah, I mean that I've seen people with something like sales bulldog. It's like, really? I mean, do you? I mean, I can understand that if you were looking for a job, as and appeal to a sales leader, but that's the positioning for that job. But for clients will just run a mile.
Yeah. Next P. Is packaging. Now, packaging is like positioning part B, really. Right. It's understanding that people don't expect to be necessarily where can I find information about you? Oh, you're sending me to a website now. It's all this kind of back and forth business. When I was back in sales and I was speaking to the directors of the company, I said, what do you want me to do when I start finding these architects and commercial interior designers? Where do you want me to send them? Oh, go to the website. There's examples of our work. No, that's not good enough. I spoke to the graphic designer in the team. I said, I need PDF brochures created for architects, for commercial interior designers, for graphic designers, and for construction companies, because each of them has a slightly different angle on what they need. And I need them to understand that I empathize with the problems that they face in their business, so that they start to see me as somebody that can help them and not just trying to sell. So packaging is essentially turning all of your services, maybe you've got half a dozen services, make sure you've got a PDF brochure for each of those. Don't have just a generic website because the great thing about LinkedIn is you can attach these PDFs to your profile. So I encourage my clients. So for example, if you've got 3 types of services, right? Maybe it's a company that does some coaching and does some workshops and has some online courses or something or other. I encourage them to have an experience entry on their profile for each of those separately, and then a PDF brochure or something that the customer can click on and download or whatever it is for each of those as well. Because it's not just about LinkedIn, it's also about your email. And somebody makes them cry, I'll send you my PDF on this. And in that, you speak in the same patient pain prescription prognosis language as you would on your profile, and you make it very much about the customer. And breathe.
And when we're going through social, if we're sending people to a website, I know that you've spent a lot of money on it, and I know you're very proud of it, but actually that's an unnatural act. You have a website because that's kind of shows that your company is alive, but anybody can spin up a website. But you've got the ability on LinkedIn to have all those things there available. And use that as the way of packaging and positioning yourself with your clients. Websites, it's an unnatural act.
Promoting is the next P.
And
the reason why it's number 4 is that if people jump in straight at promoting P, they go immediately into promoting their businesses, right? They go into promoting the greatness of a particular product or service. And so the skill of promoting is being able to position yourself top of mind with your potential customers for your area of expertise. And that that really lies in, and it's so rare to see, Tim, even now, even though you and I have been banging on about this for years, it's so rare to see somebody that consistently shares good tips and advice as a means of positioning themselves top of mind with their potential customers. There is still an opportunity for most industry sectors to clean up with social just by sharing good tips and advice. It doesn't make sense.
Everybody immediately goes into feature function. You know, I work for organizations that say we don't sell feature function. We're solution companies. We sell solutions. And then you go, okay, so what do you sell? And they go, well, it's these features and functions. Like, oh, come on. And you know, it's all about what rather than why or how or you know, if you look at, you know, we're not talking about our companies. This is content that we're creating. What we're doing this is a piece of content where we're providing people with advice. If this resonates with people, they'll go away and find details about Darrell Griffin. I'm in the Perth area. I'll give him a call.
Precisely.
You don't have to sit here and go, I've got this and I've got this and I've got this. It just doesn't work like that. People are looking for insight. And what we're trying to do here is tell people things they don't know. And if that resonates with them, they'll give you a call.
I mean, I don't want to get on the high horse. I have an issue with most people humble brag. So I'm humbled to be chosen to have done this, or, you know, who cares, you know, frankly. There's just not enough value-led content. Just isn't. And there is a massive opportunity there. And people always say, well, what's your competitive advantage? Well, actually, one of mine is the fact that my content is great, you know. And many people have bought from me entirely based on my content, which is, you know, people think it doesn't work like that, but it can. It's just that you've got to play a long game. And
and promoting for you, you said it's about understanding the buyer journey. Understanding the buyer journey and and understanding the different parts of that.
Yeah, and that's a big subject, and that's probably too long to unpack it properly. But essentially, even on a very basic buyer kind of journey, become aware of a need, search for information, evaluate alternatives, make a purchasing decision. Most of us in business are transfixed with the transaction, I call it. We're so trying to get closed business that we're not giving people enough value on which to choose us when they become aware of the need. So again,
the other thing that's interesting, Darrell, is what I've often seen is that people are fixated on the start and not the end. So, you know, my background is selling large-scale accounting systems to big companies, and we would have lots of stuff about, because it was always features and functions and all these features of our accounting system, but nobody ever put a piece of content out said. I would always get clients coming to me, and when we got close to the decision, saying, I've got to go to the board with a business case. Do you have a standard business case, a set of slides that I can use? And it was like, why doesn't somebody basically stick that on the internet? Because actually they'll get business because someone will go, that's really helpful.
Yeah.
It's not selling you know, whether it's multi-company, nobody cares. Helping me get it through the board and not looking like an idiot is useful.
Exactly.
So people.
P5. So people. So probably the most underutilized, most misunderstood aspect of LinkedIn is why it was created. It was created to be the world's largest professional network. There's a clue in that it's actually designed so we can network with one another all over the world. And the opportunity, I've found it so many times, that conversation builds rapport conceives trust, and it's very easy for doors to open that
We're
way.
Here because of social, Darrell.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. You know, funnily enough, it wasn't until I moved to the other side of the world that you and I had a conversation on Twitter. So that's just the way it is. But I'm staggered by how few people. Now, you may or may not know a lady called Kate Lister, who's a florist in Grimsby. She's quite big on LinkedIn. You know, Kate.
Yeah.
I mean, she will say something along the lines of, I don't know if it's 5 or 10, but she will engage with at least 5 pieces of other people's content for every one post that she does. Yeah. She understands the banter, reciprocity of social. So she gets a lot of engagement on her post because she takes the time to engage with other people's stuff.
Yeah.
And that's completely misunderstood, and those opportunities, and particularly in sales, and particularly I've been saying this to people in real estate. How much do people trust real estate, estate agents in the UK? Very little. It's like politicians and salespeople generally. This is an opportunity to just actually converse with people without any agenda, right? And the problem is, if you're like, where's the bottom line in that? Well, watch and see what happens. If you're the only estate agent taking the time to engage and just properly converse with people, you watch what happens. But very few people seem to.
So we have a BMW dealer in the UK on LinkedIn. He gets 28 leads in November. He generally gets 28 leads a month. In November, he converted 14 of those. So BMW, £50,000, what's that? $65,000 times 14 was that £700,000, 900 and something $1,000 for zero marketing.
Yeah, well,
and that's having conversations. I've had a conversation with him on LinkedIn about alloy wheels. Now, if you're not a motor person, you're going to buy a Toyota anyway. But I mean, people that are interested will have conversations with him, and he knows that this is about it. Seems to be this on macho. Oh yeah, I can't. It's about giving. It is, but there's nothing unmacho about that. What you'll find is that it's just the same. It's if you go into a room and there's you went into a bar, and in that bar all those people could be your customers. You're not going to go in there and go, I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. You go in there and go, hey, how you doing? Hey, I'll talk to you in a moment, because you would have conversations. Yeah, and you would and you would have a conversation because that at some point you'd get something back. So why don't we do it on LinkedIn?
Exactly. Well, I don't know why we don't do it. I've been doing it for 7-8 years, but but I think it's something happens when you're present and active on a platform for long enough. Something happens, a switch goes, and oh, I get it now. This isn't about me at all. This is about other people. If I can actually build bridges with people, it's amazing what can happen. And probably, if I'm honest with you, when I did leave to become a coach trainer in 2014, when I left the work that I was doing, I actually assumed and may wrongly assume that people are going to fall over themselves for this kind of knowledge, and they don't. They actually want to stay doing it the way they've always done it, which is.
I get people saying, I'm still calling it. It's so inefficient and so ineffective. Yeah. Why are you doing that? And you got to remember, I wrote my social selling book, was launched in 2015, and here we are, like 4 years later, and people still see it as a revelation.
Funnily enough, you see, so 4 years ago, and I'm conscious of time. 4 years ago, I had a hunch that the way forward was deeper, not wider. A sharper focus, which is why I then chose the one platform really to major on, and now you can only really find me on LinkedIn. But my hunch now, as I look forward 3 to 5 years from now, is that kind of we're going to be sick of these, what I would call macro social media. I think we're going to get sick of it. I think it's already happening. And so I'm already exploring private social media platforms and the way to create private communities where you create a boutique experience rather than this big, noisy, shouty digital junk mess, which these platforms are becoming, sadly.
Yeah.
Have we got time to jump on the prospecting or not?
Yeah, do this prospecting, yeah.
Only just to mention that it's last deliberately because, as you can probably tell from the previous ones that I've mentioned, it's not about prospecting as you and I have understood it from 10 plus years ago, where this isn't about finding, there are a lot of people offering these services. We'll take over your account for you. We'll find your prospects and we'll message them for you, blah, blah, blah. That's going to kill your opportunities on LinkedIn, in my personal experience.
Yeah.
So the reason why I put prospecting last is simply to say LinkedIn search is really good. Actually, Sales Navigator is better.
Yeah.
But LinkedIn search is very good. If you do find prospective clients on LinkedIn, then you've got the option to follow them, which means that their content will start appearing in your feed and you can start to engage with their stuff. It's a slow, methodical process. If you want to speed it up, then I say to people, don't use LinkedIn. Take it off of LinkedIn, go old school. If you want to find the name of somebody in some organized, write them a letter, explain to them why they need you. Or if you have to, pick up the phone, but at least you get the name and you can get around the gatekeeper a bit better. But in terms of LinkedIn, yes, you can find people. There's an opportunity to start to look for an opportunity to start a conversation with them on a prospecting level rather than trying to close business on LinkedIn, which simply is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, we would always recommend that the first thing that you do whenever someone starts engaging is you immediately take it off social and, do you want to have a call?
Yeah.
And the simplest thing is and they'll go yes or no.
Yeah.
Generally, most people know that if you say, they know that you're trying to sell something and they know it will be a sales call.
There's a really, really great tool, which I've been using to great effect, called loom.com. Are you familiar with Loom?
No.
So I can hop onto your profile, for example, on LinkedIn, and I can record myself as a little picture of me. I can record a video of me. So, hi, Tim. It's great to connect with you today. Just wanted to put a face and voice to the name, and I just look forward to, I've included an article below that I think you might find interesting, and I look forward to conversing some more. People are really shocked when you send a personalized little video message to them, and you can send that through LinkedIn message. So that's a great little tool.
Great tip, Darryl.
No worries, my friend.
So just to sum up, your 6 Ps are preparation, positioning, packaging, promotion, people, and then prospecting.
Yeah, in that linear order. So I'm literally in the next few weeks releasing the 6P strategy as a video program. It's 33 videos going through the whole thing. People can pay monthly to access that. So that's I'm launching that as an official kind of strategy. So there we are.
Fantastic. So if people are interested in that, remind people where they can get hold of you. You're fully in on LinkedIn, aren't you?
Find me on the easiest way to find me on LinkedIn. So it's Darryl Griffin. My name, obviously, the spelling of my name is an issue, but you've got that on your show notes there.
Yeah.
And I'm also darrylgriffin.com.au because I'm now in Australia.
Fantastic, Darryl. It's been very insightful. I love the way that you've thought this out, the way that you've come up with this methodology, and you have such a great expertise in actually, finding how this stuff works. And I know if someone implemented this, they would get success. So,
thank you, Tim. That's coming from you. It's much greatly appreciated.
You're welcome, and best of luck with your video releases and your up and coming stuff.
Bless you, my friend.
You're welcome. So have a good day.
And you too.
And thanks very much.
No worries, mate. See you soon.
Thanks, Darryl. Bye.
Bye.